Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the first in six series of CPD sessions for FCAT staff in order to work and get familiar with Google Classroom. So over the next 6 weeks, we're going to be looking at firstly getting started using Google Classroom. Then we're going to move on to setting up users and how to actually set work for users. Then I'm going to move on to setting up work using Google Photos, Slides, Docs. And then we're going to look at how you can monitor feedback within the Google Classroom, see who's engaging with it, and how to use Google Forms as well to actually engage with parents as well. And then finally, the last session, we'll look at how to use Google Meet for live broadcasting, because I think at the moment, especially with bubbles going down, there is going to be the eventuality within FCAT that we can start looking at using Google Meet for actual doing proper live recording. So I'm going to now just talk about what this is all about. First of all, this session is all about introducing Google Classroom. It's going to talk about exactly what Google Classroom is, what it's going to be used for, how you can use it, and generally how to navigate around the actual system itself. These sessions are going to be short and snappy. It's not going to be death by PowerPoint. It's going to be live demonstrations showing you around how to use it, and hopefully it'll enable you to gain some quick wins from that. Okay, so just a bit about what I'm doing at the moment and why am I running these CPD sessions. Very short. I'm now working for a consortium for a couple of days a week, which is based on High Furlong School as well within Blackpool. And what we do is we are working within with the government, and we were given some money in order to support schools all around the country. And we decided within FCAT, why don't we support the schools within our trust as well, to see if we can help sort of develop the CPD within using Google Classroom. Next, who am I? My name is, if you don't know me, my name is Michael Goldy. I work at Hambleton Primary Academy. I've been working here for 3 years now. Obviously, you'll all know where Hambleton is, of course. Obviously, I've been leading computing at the school for the last sort of 3 years, and then recently been involved in making sure that we've moved over to this whole new domain with Google Classroom, etc., making sure it's used successfully within the school. We've been using Google Classroom for a couple of years now, and because that was in place, it enabled us to switch over to Google Classroom before lockdown quite easily, because we had everything set up back of house. Now, one thing that I have been aware of, I know that all primary schools, even like Unity as well, with it being a through school, they're all set up. I know for a fact that you've all got the email set up for your children and everything is there to be used. The Google Classroom is there. I'm hoping today to give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour around Google Classroom and show you how to navigate around and use it for your users. And hopefully that, you know, will help you on your journey within successfully using it. So today, CPD session 1. We're going to look at setting up and using Google Classroom. That's also going to look at how to set the correct privileges so kids aren't constantly commenting on each other's work. Setting up and organizing your users in the people area. How to navigate around Google Classroom, understanding some of the functionality and how it works. And what work can you set currently on Google Classroom? Next week's CPD session is going to be looking at setting work specifically, but I'll give you a bit of a quick guide on what work you may wish to consider using it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing this tab, and hopefully it should have just gone back to the main screen. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to change that, and I'm going to share my full screen with you. And hopefully now that is shared, let me just double check. Hang on. There we go. Hopefully now you should have the entire screen shared with you. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a guided tour about how Google Classrooms works. So the first things first, Google Classroom can be found by simply going to www.google.com. And up in the top right here, you see M. And obviously that is automatically linked within to my email. We'll all be quite similar, I'm guessing. So you should see this setup. Now, what you need to do next is, next to it, you'll see this little array. It's a Google Apps array. If you click on that and you go down to Classroom, you will now be in your Google Classroom area. Now, as you can see within ours, we have all our years set up. We also have a People Council area because the head of People Council wanted that set up primarily. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you my Year 5 area, and I'm going to give you a bit of a tour about who's set up and what privileges there are, and hopefully that will give you a bit of an idea. I'm hoping you are seeing my screen here. If anyone is not noticing it, please just leave a comment, and then I'll sort that out. But hopefully you are seeing this screen, the Google Classroom screen. So I'm going to click in Year 5. And when I click in Year 5, you can see this is what it looks like. Think of it like Facebook. You have your stream up the top, and then up here, this is just for like making quick comments to your children. And then you've got your Classwork tab. Now, if I click on Classwork, this is where I set all of my work up for my students. I have a homework one, which I set all the homework in. I have my logins area where I add all my logins for like TT Rockstars and SumDog, Read Theory, all those things. So the kids can go straight in and find them if they need them. Here you have people. These are all the children in my class down here. And then up the top, I have the 3 teachers in the class. Mr. Hesketh is in 2 days a week while I do my ed tech. Mrs. Slinger is my TA. And then there's me. Now down here, you have all the children. All of these children are allocated or put into Google Classroom from their school email address. All your children should have school emails, and within your schools, if you need to add new emails, someone should have a Google admin right or privileges to add new emails in, and that should be quite simple. You just need to ask your IT team about that if you need to add new emails in. Now, to simply add students, or we'll go back actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go back to the whole class area. If you want to set up a new Google Classroom, you simply go at the top here and you click on add, and you join a class or you create a class. What you would want to do is if I click on here, you'd want to create a class, put, for example, Year 5. You don't really need to complete anymore. And once you've done that, it'll simply pop up and look a bit like this. The next thing you need to do is you need to go into people. And within the people area, this is when you start adding your students in. Now, the beauty of this is when you invite your students in, all you need to do is start typing their name, and Google will automatically populate that and find their email if they're in the system already. So, for example, I teach my daughter in Year 5, Edie. So if I type in Edie, her name comes straight up, and I can click, and she is allocated to that class straight away. Now, we got some feedback from parents about how they thought our remote learning stroke homework offer was. And one thing they did ask, they wanted to try and keep tabs on the children to see if they were doing homework. So some parents have also provided emails. And the emails, the beauty of that is what happens is once any work has been sent, any homework, they will get a notification on their phone. And the children will also get a notification on their device, iPad, once work's been sent out as well. And I'll talk about notifications in a minute. It'll also tell the parents if they've not handed their homework in on time, which does actually come in quite handy as well. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour about how to set your students up there. Now, the next thing if I click back up here and I go to the Year 5 area, if I go back to this little cog up in the top, this is important. I'm going to click on the cog. And you have the general settings down here. Now, what you will need to do is this one here, the stream. I have put mine on. Students can only comment. And what that will mean is that when they make a post, or if I put a comment on the stream, students can only comment on what I put. If you automatically set up the class, the first thing will happen is it'll be set as students can post and comment. And you will get a million comments of kids saying, hi, 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 woo, look at me, and all that silly stuff that kids do. So just you make that decision within your setting, what you want that to be set as. If you want, you can totally switch it off as well. So that's quite important. That's just the basics there. Now, this is also another important one. If I come out of here, up at the top here, if you go down to here, this settings bar, this is settings for all of the classes you have. As you can see, I've got access to all the classes because within the people area, I've set them all up individually. Now, if you want to have access to any other classes, then you just need to ask the people who set those classes up. What I would recommend, if you were right at the beginning, get someone who is maybe quite tech savvy or someone in SLT. I don't know how you wish to organize it, but get them to set up who is going to go into each class. But once they've done it and they've added them, they'll be sent an email and they'll be sent through, and that class it'll show up in the Google Classroom area. So as I was saying, if you go back into here and you click on settings, right down the bottom, don't worry about all this. This is if you want to receive your email notifications. I do, so I know when my class have made a comment or I can respond to it. This one down the bottom is quite important, class notifications. So as you can see, I've just got notifications on for my class. If I had all of these switched on, I'd be barraged with millions of emails from all of the different classes. Anything, because what that means is anything that a post has been made, I get sent an email through. So that will enable you to have those settings in place. So we've gone through setting up and using the classroom, setting up and organizing users. I'm just going to do a quick whistle-stop tour of everything in Google Classroom. I've pretty much covered most things for this week, but if you just go back to classes up the top here, just to give you a bit of an idea what everything is. If I go back into my year 5 area, you have your stream, which is you can just send something quickly out to the children. Then you have your classwork. Then you have your people. Now, marks are, I am not really too bothered about using marks. I think this is more of a high school thing. But what I'm going to do next week, I'm going to show you how to use something called Rubrics. And what that enables you to do is give really quick feedback on when you set work for them. So we use dojos, and I know a lot of you also use dojos. So let's say a child hands in their work and has returned all their homework. What I can do is I create a little button so they click on it and automatically it gives them 2 dojos. I'll show you that next week and how that works. But for now, I wouldn't worry about any of this. Now, classwork. There's different types of classwork that you can set up. You've probably seen down the side, I have different topics set up. If I click on create, I can create a quick new topic area. And by that, so if I wanted, I'm going to create a new one called home learning. Now, you obviously have different topic areas. And if I click home learning and I click add, now you will see I've got a subfolder called home learning. How do I move work from different area to area? Right. Well, they've been doing biographies in my class. Let's say they wanted them to do with home learning. I can just click it and put it in there. Really simple. And then I'm just going to put that back in there. So this is sort of how you can organize and set your work. Next thing, if you click on create, there's all different things here. Now, if I want to just create material just for logins, etc., I will just click it as material. I'll type in, I don't know, let's say I've got my some dog logins. And then from there, I will click on add and I will click on file, and then it will automatically go straight into your browser and you can find out what work you ever want to attach to it. I'll talk a lot more about this in further detail next week. This week is just getting started with the basics. Oh, sorry, come out of there. And then if I want to come out of this, click X. If I want to create an assignment, which is this is the important thing, what I do. An assignment is what I do to create homework. So if I want to put like homework for Friday, homework for week ending 11th, 14th, I think it is. Could be, probably not. 14th of 2020. And then you put in some instructions. I'll give you ideas about what you can do in a minute. And then you can put instructions about what homework you want them to complete. Now, when you want to set work, you have it here. I can set work for all the different years. I can also set work for individual students. And this is really handy because if you have some children self-isolating, we can send out work separately for them. Now, we put a package of work together for those individuals, and that's already set up in a draft box area for them to do. And I'll give you a bit more information about that. But let's say I want to just send out, I don't know, isolation work for Esme. Then I would simply click on year 5 and I would click off all of them and I'd find Esme and she just gets sent that work for her. And also you can see once you set that work, you can put it into a certain topic so it moves straight into there if you wish. And all you do is you click assign. There's also the option in here, if you click schedule, you can set it to be pinged out to them on a certain date. Really clever. So I'm going to come out of here. And last thing in here is I'm going to look at reusing a post. Reusing a post is really handy because you'll have probably wrote a load of stuff, and on here I can look at all the posts that I've set. There's not that many at the moment because we've just moved over to the FCAT domain quite recently from the old Hambleton domain. But you can see here, like this is the homework from last week. All I'll do is I'll reuse that post, change a few things, and it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of here now, and I'm just going to stop sharing and go back to the original presentation I was going through. Just bear with me. Okay, so that is pretty much a very quick whistle-stop tour. And that last thing there, what work can be set? We are currently using it to set homework and for children who are isolating. Now, we're quite fortunate, well, not fortunate, I'd say, but year 6 yesterday had to, at Hambleton, they had to go home. They've had to self-isolate because we had a case. But on the plus side, everything was set up. All the children were set up ready. And that enabled the year 6 teacher to switch straight onto that hybrid learning and go and send out all the work today for them with no problems at all. And it was very smooth. And that's helped us out really well, having all this sort of set up. Currently, we send out homework weekly, and that enables us just to ensure that, number one, we are sending out work in Google Classroom. It's always up to date. We know the kids can log into it quite easily. And number two, it just keeps them familiar with how to use the system. Okay, so that today will finish that session. Next week, I'm going to look at setting up work for users on Google Classroom. You'll have been sent an email by Stephen Cox. If you do wish to subscribe to that one, please just click on the link, sign up through Eventbrite, and usually the day before on the Tuesday, I'll send you an email through. If you haven't had the email, no, someone had a problem today, please just email directly m.goldy@hambleton.fcat.org.uk, and I'll send you a link through to that. So this is the opportunity now for those of you who are here. If you do have any questions, you can come off the microphone now and please fire away. Okay. Well, look, thank you for your time today. I hope to hear from some of you next week and see some of you next week. If you do have any further questions in the meantime, please drop me an email. And I hope today has been helpful. Thank you very much. Bye for now.